and welcome to another episode of the Family Gamers Podcast. This is episode 388.
Happy New Year, everybody. It is the first podcast of 2025.
And so because of that, our topic this week is going to be our top 10-ish games of 2024.
I mean, that's kind of what people do, right? But, like, who's the hour here? We are the Family Gamers. As always, I'm your host, Andrew, and I am joined by my lovely and wonderful wife, Anitra.
Don't forget long suffering.
Wow. What did I do?
In this case, it's actually not about you at all. I just be glad that I am long suffering and I don't take it out on you.
Okay, if I blink twice, that means help. Anyway, we are the Family Gamers. We are super excited to do another one of these to start off another year. This is going to be the year in which we hit 10 years of doing the Family Gamers.
Assuming we're still doing this in October, we will hit 10 years.
We'll see. I do have a fact for this episode that is not a thing that has changed, so I will give you a fact about our episode number 388. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Question for you, Anitra.
Yes.
Without cheating, what is the oldest branch of our military?
The Army?
No.
I don't know.
Back in December, the National Guard celebrated its 388th birthday.
What?
Yeah. Continuing a tradition that began before the nation's founding in 1776. The Guard's lineage stretches back to December 13th, 1636, when North America's first militia regiment organized in Massachusetts. The Massachusetts Bay Colony's General Court, the colony's legislature, issued an order at that time organizing its militia into 3 permanent regiments. These regiments were meant to better defend the colony and their descendants and are now the U.S. military's oldest units.
Okay, I can see how a militia with permanent regiments eventually turns into the National Guard. It's that same idea of like, I am part of this body, but most of the time I get to go home and do my normal work and whatever, but I am there to be called up when necessary.
Yep.
Sure.
So we are just shy of the United States of America being 250 years old, and yet the oldest branch of its military is, in fact, 388 years old.
More than 130 years older than the country itself.
Anyway,
all right.
That's our fact. I thought it was a cool one.
That is cool.
So there you go.
We also have a message from our sponsor. Continuing on the theme from last week when we talked about how board games may be covered by homeowners or renters insurance, let's address the should part of the question. Should you insure your board game separately? With any risk, you have 4 options, so here's how to think about them. If the chance of the risk happening is low, and the consequences are low, just accept the risk. For example, paper cuts are annoying, but they shouldn't impact how you live your life. Next are risks where the chance of it happening is low, and the consequences are high. In that case, just avoid the risk. Like jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. Just don't do that. Avoid that risk, if you can. The third category are risks that have a high probability of happening, but very low consequences. With these, you can take steps to mitigate either the frequency or the impact of the risk. For example, take a defensive driving course to prevent the likelihood of getting a speeding ticket. Finally, there are risks that have a high probability of happening and high impact if they do happen. These are the risks you want to transfer by getting insurance. So you need to consider if the potential loss of your games has a relatively high probability of happening, like if you store them in your garage or your basement, and if the loss would be significant. For example, if you have an original signed copy of Sid Sackson's Cosmic Encounter. If that's the case, then you would likely want to make sure that it's covered by your insurance. You may still want some of it covered if the probability is low and the loss would be significant. But if your loss wouldn't be significant, then you can just mitigate the risk, be a little bit more careful with how you store them, and be okay with replacing them if necessary. First Move Financial does not sell insurance, but they can help point you in the right direction and help you interpret the policies you currently have. To schedule a call with First Move, go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers.
All right, thanks so much to the team over at First Move Financial for sponsoring us into 2025. So, Anitra, it was actually a pretty busy December. We've been playing a lot of games. despite the busyness.
Yes, a very busy December. I don't know that I'd say I played a lot of games. I played about an average number of games for me, and it was really focused on PAX Unplugged and New Year's Eve.
Yeah, sure. We have a lot of variety in our list of games that
we do have a lot of variety.
The first one on the list, you want to talk about Combo some more? I think we talked about Combo last time.
I don't think we did because we tried to be very compact last time.
Oh, okay.
So Combo has been great fun. It is Claire's new favorite. And Combo is this interesting idea of you're creating like poker hands or rummy hands, but everyone at the table is contributing to try to make the best possible hand. The hand is always larger than the number of cards that you individually can play out. So you can't run away with this game. However, this is not a cooperative game. Once all of the cards have been played out for a round, you kind of look around and figure out what the best possible scoring hand would be based on those cards. And then the people who contributed those cards, they get to score points. All of the cards that contribute to that best winning hand, or whatever you want to call it, all of those cards score points, sometimes full points, sometimes half points, depending on what's going on, but usually full points. And it's really interesting, the sort of back and forth of you need to work together if you're going to really score points at all. But you can also do things to try to undercut what other people are playing. Like, oh, I'm going to play a higher number card than you, and now your low number but high value card has been cut out of the highest possible hand.
Yeah, that's the dynamic in this game, is the cards that are the hardest to get into the hands, by definition, score higher points. So you're always trying to strike this balance to make sure that you get cards that are played so you can get some points, but the cards that are more likely to end up in the winning hand are worth less.
Yeah. So I like the fruit theme that is on this game. It's Combo, and it's like slushies and ripe fruit and super slushy and stuff. But carrying over these themed names to the types of winning hands is not terribly helpful.
It's a royal flush. It's a straight flush.
If you have ever played poker or rummy before, you're already going to have names that work for these, and trying to use the themed names it just adds confusion.
Yeah. So if you are out there and you've heard of and or played the game Surfasaurus Max, this is that game. It's just reskinned.
With fruit.
Mm-hmm. It's very fruity. All right, next on the list is a game that we bought for our youngest. He saw it at PAX Unplugged, and we picked it up at our friendly local game store. And this is the game Video Game Champion from Arcane Wonders. Now, this is a game that makes me glad that I don't rely wholly on first impressions. Because setting this game up for 3 people took our entire 3x5 foot table.
It was
just
so big.
Setting the game up.
It was so big.
The entire table. And, I mean, part of it was because it was the first time we played, but part of it was the fact that you lay all of this stuff out, because there's no boards to this. It's all cards and tiles. It took us like 40 minutes to get the game all set up and arranged.
I mean, it wouldn't in the future.
Right. It wouldn't in the future. There's some really confusing kind of stuff in the rule book about this game with regards to how you're supposed to actually set it up for your player count and all these other things. But eventually we got this thing. I mean, look, I felt like setting this game up was watching the Star Wars crawl, because you set up a section and you're like, oh, something goes above that. Oh, and then something else goes above that.
Oh, there's
and then
more.
Something else goes above that. And it just kept coming. And we had to like slide the whole setup down the table 2 or 3 times. But once the game was all set up, it actually flowed really well.
Yeah, and the good news is, unlike some other table hog kind of games, that central setup that took up so much space, that is the game. Like, you have a player area, but it needs to hold like 3 cards. It's not big.
Yeah, it's not that bad. And the central area doesn't change all that much. So what is this game, Video Game Champion, actually all about? This is a game that really appeals to the millennial in me, the elder millennial in me.
Yes.
Because the whole premise of this game is that you are trying to either get some money from your parents or grandparents to rent video games, or pay a little bit more to rent new releases, or buy video game magazines, or take a whole bunch of IOUs from your grandparents and get them to actually buy you a video game.
Buy you something brand new that nobody else would have.
So every turn you're drafting button tiles, and every video game requires a certain button combination in order to complete that video game. And there are ways that you can get to certain thresholds on most of the games to represent that you've partially beaten it, and then that kind of gives you a little bit of a perk to fully beat it in the future.
You've played the game, but you haven't mastered the game. You haven't beaten the game.
Right. So this is a set collection game in order to beat the video games, and then with all the various video game genres and the difficulties of the video games, it becomes a set collection game to try to get the achievements at the end of the game as well. And of course, the video games themselves have victory points associated with them. This is very much a game that plays on nostalgia, and yet our 10-year-old was really, really into the theme. And so once we got it set up, I think we had a great time with it.
Yeah, I'm going to say your typical 10-year-old is not going to majorly connect with this game. But since our...
Well, they'll connect with it in the sense that it's video games.
Right,
but like renting games is not something that they're going to understand or really like relate to.
But since our kid is big into vintage video games, arcade games like old Nintendo games, old Sega games, stuff like that, he's really, really interested in that and some of the culture around it. He really, really wanted this game, and we knew that the theme would actually really connect with him, even though it's not something that most modern 10-year-olds would really understand.
Yeah, this is not a small box game. It was a pretty good sized game. I think it was $70 at the store.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. I think we really enjoyed playing it. So
I think we'd be happy to play it again. The big thing that saved it from being completely overwhelming, because this is also not really a game for a 10-year-old, is that we set it up, we figured out how to play, we played the first round, we took a break. We came back, we played 2 rounds, we took another break. And then we came back and we played the final 2 rounds to finish the game. Otherwise, it would have turned into a real slog, especially trying to play it with our son. But as it is, it was sort of we got it, and now we're going to step back. And because we are blessed to have space to have that secondary table set up in our living room, we just left it set up all day long.
Yeah.
Our goal was to finish it before the end of the day.
Yeah, yes, we have the ability to do that sometimes, but it was unusual.
It was unusual.
We had, one of the kids was out of the house at an event, and the other one didn't really care about the game. So that was Video Game Champion. I do think we're going to play this one again with our game group on a Monday night. So we'll definitely get another chance to give it a whirl when we actually understand the rules a little bit better, and we'll see.
And know the setup, is
a little bit more streamlined in that way. So that'll be good.
I played some Landmarks on New Year's Eve.
Sure.
Andrew was not feeling great on New Year's Eve, so he did not come to our usual friend Year's Eve. I would like to have a name for it, but
New Year's Eve celebration with friends playing board games.
Well, it's the same friends every year.
Yeah.
But one of the games I introduced them to was Landmarks. We got this for review at PAX Unplugged, and it's sort of a Codenames meets map making, really interesting cooperative game where one person is giving word clues, kind of like in Codenames, but you're trying to sort of direct everybody else onto a path on the map to get treasure, get water, avoid curses, generally avoid traps, and eventually get to the exit. We ended up playing this 4 times in a row, because I played it, and then they were like, okay, yeah, we should each take a turn being the clue giver. So each one of the 3 of us took a turn being the clue giver, and then one of the other folks was like, no, we can do better than that. Let's try one more time. And it's true, the last time we did do better. We got 2 treasures and got out. Most of the other times we did not get out successfully. We're going to be talking more about this game in the future. It's a really strange combination of spatial skills and word skills and clue giving, but I think it works. It works really well.
Yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings about Landmarks, to be super transparent about it. I like the idea, but like sometimes it doesn't land, and I'm not really sure why that is. I don't know if it's the starting setup of the tiles and the direction in which you have to get people to go. I don't know. Sometimes it's a really good experience, and sometimes it's very hit or miss.
I mean, it feels like Codenames in that way to me. Like, I have definitely played games of Codenames where the clue giver just can't. And everybody else is like, wow, that was terrible. It is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Next on the list is the game Mezzen. This is another game from Arcane Wonders. This is I don't even know how to describe this game. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a weird, like, tile.
It's a sliding
puzzle,
tile. It's a sliding tile puzzle, sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to play this game more to be able to explain it better. Is that a fair way to...
Sure. I will say the one thing I thought was really interesting just from an art perspective on Mezzen was this is a game that is just black, white, and red, and yet they came up with really clever ways to make all of the player equipment distinct. And I would like to see that sort of thing more often. Like, it worked amazingly well. I would not have anticipated that.
No. So, let's see if I can attempt to explain this game really quickly. So, on your turn, if you are the person who's picking, you pick an animal or, one of the icons that appears on the tiles.
Yeah, they're animals.
Yeah. And everybody has to follow along with the same animal unless they peg you. And then you remove that, You remove that animal from your grid of tiles?
You remove, I think, a group.
The largest connected group?
Yeah.
Of that animal, right. And then all the tiles slide down, and then you flip the tiles that you've removed over, and then you reinsert them into the top. And the tiles are white on one side and black on the other side. And so you're doing this rearranging in order to achieve certain public round-specific goals. And you get points as you achieve these goals, and then at 2 points in the game, there's kind of thresholds for you get a point for every white tile or you get a point for every black tile, and it kind of alternates around the board, and there's ways to get coins, and there's ways, there's things that you have to do that you might want to, use a different animal than the one that's called out, so you have to pay coins for that. It's an interesting puzzle. I remember you saying that you didn't know how you felt about the game after playing it.
Yeah, I do not yet know how I feel about the game. It is an interesting puzzle, but I had a hard time wrapping my head around it. I did feel like I was starting to kind of grok it by the end.
Yeah, so we played this one time a week and a half ago at this point.
Yeah.
And we will report back. So that's Mezzen that's another one from Arcane Wonders.
Yeah. We also played River Valley Glassworks.
You did.
And I showed the boys. I really like this game.
Yeah, so this is something that I gave you for Christmas because we played it a lot on BGA. So we've talked a lot about whether it's better to play a game on BGA or not. And one of the big reasons why it might be better to play it on BGA is because it's kind of finicky and there's lots of pieces. There are a bunch of pieces in this game. How did it work out?
It was good. The only part that I will say I found annoying over BGA is that the way River Valley Glassworks is set up, you have this river that you are pulling glass out of. That so far makes sense, right? You're pulling like smoothed out river glass pieces. In the course of playing the game, you choose a section of the river, you take all of the glass from that, and then you have to take that section of the river out, slide all these sections forward, and stick that section at the end. That was not as smooth as I would like it to be, but it wasn't bad. And that was the only annoyance, I'll say, as far as making all of that work. I really, really like this. After we had played it a little bit, we found out that it is a re-implementation of Subastral, which we reviewed back when it came out years ago, and we really, really liked, but it had this weird mechanic that was hard to wrap your head around. That same mechanic is still there in River Valley Glassworks, where you're kind of playing these stones from your hand, quote unquote, I mean, from this like bag you have, out to the river, and then you get to pull different stones from the river, so you can never take the stuff that's in your hand and play it directly to your board. Somehow, the way they've re-implemented that is less confusing than it was when it was a card game. It's also prettier, which, I mean, I feel weird saying that about a game that originally had cards with art by Beth Sobel, and it was gorgeous, but there's something really lovely and tactile about picking up these stones and placing them down on your board.
Yeah, Subastral was it was a beautiful game with lovely art, and River Valley Glassworks there's this kind of vibe these days with kind of the cute, cozy animals, right?
Yes.
So you've got things like Creature Comforts, and then Maple Valley, and then Capybaras. Those are all KTPG games, but that kind of an idea is a bit more popular these days, and River Valley Glassworks is very much that, where you have these really cute animals who are, kind of doing this stuff. The vibe it's a different vibe.
It is.
I don't know if the art's better. It's just clearly different. Right.
The one last thing I'm going to say is that because in River Valley Glassworks you have a player board that has that cute animal artwork on it, the player board makes such a huge difference in understanding how the scoring works. And there are several things here that just make the game easier to understand, make the game easier to play. And so, even as somebody who liked the old game, I like this better. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just easier to play.
Yeah, I agree with that in every way. I really, really enjoyed River Valley Glassworks before we realized that it was a real
I know, right?
And then we're like, oh, yeah. So, anyway, great game. All right, next on the list is Run, Run, Run. So we've been publishing a lot of 25th Century reviews.
So many. I counted.
Lately.
It was almost half of our reviews in December.
Oh my gosh. This is another game from 25th Century. This one, you are kind of pillaging the tomb of some mummies, I guess, is what you're doing. And I don't know. It's a cooperative game where you are trying to beat the mummy boss without letting any of the mummies get to your hideout.
You're trying.
I don't even know.
You're trying to not let the mummies escape,
or something like that.
Basically,
yeah. I don't know how I felt about this game. I don't know if we just had kind of a bad play experience. We weren't really sure what was going on. There's a lot there that I experienced. It was like I see what this is doing.
Yeah,
but it didn't click with us that night. And it could have been just the moment in time. And we've talked with some of our writers about this game, and they really enjoyed it. So I'm certainly will. I mean, obviously, whenever we review something, we play it a bunch of times anyway. So we're going to be playing it some more. Didn't really hit a home run on the first play. I don't know how you felt.
No, I agree. Definitely not bad. Definitely willing to give it another shot. But it was not a super enjoyable experience the first time. So
we also got crushed, like badly.
Some of that you can, as an experienced game player, you can look at and be like, oh, we just didn't quite understand all of the balance here yet. Mm-hmm, this was a necessary part of learning to play the game.
Right.
So, yeah. I have been playing a review game myself, A Nice Cuppa, which is a solo game from Button Shy. This is a Scott Almes design, and it's supposed to be a cozy solo puzzle experience, not too taxing, not high stress. The theme of the game is that you are trying to focus on this routine of making yourself the perfect cup of tea and not focus on your worries. I don't know how well it really hits that theme for me. It's basically a number puzzle. But I appreciate what it's trying to do. I'm planning to write a review for that soon, and it's going to have probably the strangest opening sentence of any review I've ever written.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I don't want to get too far into it, but I'll share with our podcast audience. The opening sentence is, "My mother is dying," which is true. And if ever there was a time that I needed a cozy game that did not make me think too hard, it is now. So that's the short version. I'll be writing a review fairly soon.
All right. Well, the last game on the list is a game that I taught some friends, and that was Calico.
Yeah, you told me about teaching this. I was so proud of you.
Because the game about cats and quilts, it's a good game.
Well, and it was our friends who were like, we have this game.
Yeah, so their 9-year-old daughter asked her uncle, I think, for a game recommendation to buy her parents. And Calico was the recommendation, and so she got Calico for her parents for Christmas, and they hadn't had a chance to play it when I was out there visiting, and so we're like, well, I'll teach you how to play Calico. So we did, and Calico remains a great game.
Yeah, so, it is a great game. Very crunchy puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the thing about Calico is it's a very constrained puzzle. There's a lot of dynamics that are interrelated that you have to work through at the same time. That's why a lot of people prefer Cascadia over Calico.
Yeah.
That is one of the reasons why a lot of people like Harmonies, which came out this year.
I do like Harmonies, yeah.
they're all very, very similar, that kind of hex dimensional puzzle kind of thing. So, yeah. But so that was Calico. That was a good time.
All right.
And that's it. That's a whole bunch of games.
That's a whole bunch of games.
Yep. Speaking of a whole bunch of games, it is January of 2025, which means two things. We have a December monthly report to do, and we have a 2024 yearly report
We do.
to do.
We do.
So. All right. Let's start with do you want to do both of our monthlies, or should we do each other's monthly and yearly?
Let's start with monthly.
Monthly. Just
Yeah.
the monthly?
Yeah, let's start with just monthly.
Okay. So for me, for the month of December, I played 18 unique games, a total of 29 times,
Okay.
for an H index of 3.
All right. Respectable.
All 3 of the games that are in my H index of 3, I played more than 3 times.
I bet you did. What are the 3 games that you played more than 3 times?
Obelisk, Combo, and Landmarks.
All right. Yep. Sounds about right.
Yep, those are the games.
Well, for my December, I played 29 unique games.
Show off.
62 times.
Oh, stop it.
This was mostly during PAX Unplugged and on New Year's Eve, frankly. But I ended up with an H index of 5.
You're a monster.
I played a bunch of Combo. I played a bunch of Landmarks. I played a bunch of A Nice Cuppa. I played a bunch of Obelisk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in one day I played 4 or 5 games of Ultimatch.
See, this is one of the things that's different between you and me. When we play like 2 games of Ultimatch back to back, I just put that in once.
Oh, see, yeah, no, that was multiple games.
I mean, it is, but I don't know. Whatever. It's my own poor record keeping. It's
okay,
fine.
that's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, whatever. Anyway. All right. You want to get more into December, or you want to jump right to 2024?
I feel like that's enough. Let's talk
You've
about.
embarrassed me enough about December, so you're going to embarrass me about 2024. Is that what we're saying? That's what I'm saying.
Why don't I start off 2024? Because in setting up this episode, we looked at our episode from a year ago where we did the yearly report for 2023. My 2024 is not as many plays and not as many unique games as the year before.
I'm sure it's still better than mine.
It probably is. But
what's your H index for the year?
my H index was amazing. My H index for the year is 10.
Wow, mine is 6.
Yeah. So for 2024, I played 178 unique games for a total of 529 plays. I'm really shocked that I got an H index of 10. Like, we've tried doing a 10 by 10 before, and it's not a thing that our family can manage to do. We can't even manage to do a 5 by 5, really.
We could try to do a 5 by 5 this year.
We could try again.
Why not?
We'll see what happens.
No, just be smarter about what we pick.
Yeah.
Checkers.
Obelisk.
Done.
Yeah.
How many new games? How many new to you games?
I do not track that.
It's in the automatic thingy.
I turned it off years ago.
Oh.
I literally don't track new games because when I started really tracking plays, it didn't feel like it made sense to call something a new to me game if I had played it a bunch of times before. And now it's just nothing ever shows up as being new to me. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
How many? I have the default settings because I'm
Sure.
lazy.
Sure. So how many games did you play that were new to you?
All right. So I had 130 games, unique games, for
Okay.
302 plays.
Okay.
87 new to me games.
87 new to you. All right.
H index of 6, 8 locations. I played games on 147 days out of the year.
Oh, see, that's where the big difference comes in because I played games on 223 days out of the year.
Yeah. Let's see what else. I play games with 151 different players. That number is technically inflated because if someone's unknown and I play multiple games.
Yeah,
sure.
same. Mine says 161 players, but 30 of them are named players.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that is it. It says I spent 146 hours playing games. I don't really know how it would track that. I guess average game length based on
Yeah, it
GG
guesses.
or something. But so let's see, my plays, top plays for the year. What was the number one game that you played?
Trio,
How many times?
23 times.
Wow, my number one game is Trio. 26 times. Eat it.
All right.
Then I had Unmatched and Compile at 9 and Curie at 8. And then it goes down to 6.
Yeah. So speaking of the difference in how we record games, I have Skyrockets 15 times, Ultimatch 14 times, Unmatched, Jinx, Pocket Paragons are all still above 10 plays.
Yeah, see, most of those Ultimatch games I probably played with you.
Not all of them. I definitely played it solo a bunch of times when we were preparing to review it, but most of them you probably did. Probably close to 10 out of those 14.
Yeah, but according to this list, Ultimatch is 5 or less plays last year, and there's no way that's true.
Yeah, that's not true.
So, yeah, it's just my poor record keeping, but that's okay. That's okay. So that's our 2024.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed by your 529 plays.
I play a lot more solo games than you do.
Can I put Jedi Fallen Order Survivor, whatever the heck that game is called, every single day for like 4 months?
Well, I'm actually going to point out we're only a couple of days into January. You and I have played 2 games together, and then I've played a solo game several times. So I already show up as having like twice as many plays in January as you, and that's just because I played a couple of little 10-minute solo games of a nice cuppa.
Yeah. And I play God of War.
You know.
It's all good. It
is what it is.
All right. It is 2025. We do have some new folks who have joined the Family Gamers community on Facebook, and we would like to say hello and welcome to all of you. I am going to get that process started by saying welcome to Jen.
Welcome to Michael.
Welcome to Burkurji. Sorry if I messed that up.
Welcome to Anna.
Welcome to Margaret.
Welcome to Camilla.
Welcome to Brian. Wait a minute.
Welcome to Anne.
Welcome to Lazarus.
Welcome to Manasseh.
Welcome to Joanne.
And Chris. Chris Leader.
What?
What are you doing here?
I mean, we're glad you're here, but I thought you were here before. Whatever. Oh, hello, says this adorable, I don't know, is he a collie puppy? I don't know, he's very cute. You should go check it out.
Very cute puppy.
Yeah. So head on over to the Family Gamers community on Facebook and say hello. You can get there easily by going to thefamilygamers.com/community or just searching for the Family Gamers community on Facebook.
Also linked to in the show notes of every single podcast episode.
Every single one. All right. Anisha, you want to do some back talk before we go to the
Yeah,
break?
let's do that.
Okay.
So 2 weeks ago, we asked you about your favorite board game gifts.
Yeah, and we got a couple of responses to this one. Not a ton, but that's okay because it was a busy couple of weeks. So I will get this started as well. On Facebook, we asked this question, and Aaron Slaby responds and says, Mechs vs. Minions was my favorite gift because it was a surprise and amazing game and production. Runner-up is probably Scrutinize, which is an old picture search game, kind of like Scattergories, and has been out of print for years, that his wife Colleen, who, by the way, Aaron and Colleen are wonderful, we got to play a game with them at PAX Unplugged, that she surprised him with for Christmas one year.
That's very cool.
Always good.
Yes. Taking the effort to go find an old game that your partner loves, A+.
Mm-hmm.
The Joyful Jedi on Discord tells us that not getting anything board game related is his favorite board game gift because the people who know him best know that they're going to have a hard time choosing something he would enjoy. So things like his wife got him a gift card for his friendly local game store and a t-shirt from the friendly local game store. And he just gets to pick out what he wants, with her blessing.
Yeah, which I dig. It's all good.
Yeah.
Scrolling down a little bit, back on the Discord, JP DeCoste says, a few years ago, my partner gifted me a copy of The Loop, which has remained a co-op favorite ever since. This year, my kids gave me Pigs on Trampolines, which is one of the most joyfully chaotic dexterity games I've ever played.
I need to look up this game.
I mean, it's just by name alone, I'm on board.
All right. Adrian on Discord gives a fairly long story about receiving Machi Koro, and then later when she needed a gift for someone else, she looked up Machi Koro and tried to figure out a little bit more like it. That led her down the whole path from BGG, Dice Tower videos, the whole thing, top 10 videos, and introduced her to the hobby gaming world. So she's only played Machi Koro a couple of times, but it is the game that led her into the hobby of board gaming. That is a pretty great gift.
It is. I actually really like the fact that he gave it as a gift, and then a couple of years later, it was the trigger to get her into board games. It wasn't like she launched directly into board games right after getting it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Gene, Sticky Doodler, says, a few nights ago, my family finally assembled to play a chapter of Yaziba's Bed and Breakfast. It was everything I wanted.
Aww.
Love it.
And Olivier says, I had a surprise birthday party in 2018, which was just a few months after starting to explore hobby board games. My friends got me Carcassonne, Hanabi, Mysterium, and Red November. It was during that span of 2 to 3 months that I went fully obsessed with board games. He also gave play counts for all of those games. Most of them got a lot of plays. After that, I didn't get too many board games as gifts because I wanted to buy what I wanted, and the few gifts that I've received have been mostly misses when I wasn't contacted in advance.
I mean, that has happened to us before,
That's
so
fair.
I do totally understand.
But that's pretty great. I mean, that's a story of getting a bunch of games, and 3 out of the 4 were such huge hits that it led Olivier really down the path to being a full-fledged board game nerd.
I love it. All right. Hey, Anitra, do you want to talk about games that we gave each other for gifts for Christmas?
Sure, but actually first I'm going to mention one more thing that was on Facebook. Not part of our official back talk, but Adam posted his happy haul a day with all of the games that he got for Christmas. He had a whole big stack of them. They looked great. Super Mega Lucky Box, Whistle Mountain, Pursuit of Happiness, Istanbul.
Good
choices.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, you got me a copy of Ovation,
Mhm.
which I am super excited for.
Mhm.
I've played it once, and I am really looking forward to playing it again.
Mhm.
And River Valley Glassworks was kind of for the whole family, but really for me. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I mentioned Video Game Champion
Yep.
for our 10-year-old.
Yep.
And we picked up a copy of Aang's Destiny, which is the Harry Potter Hogwarts battle, but themed on Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah. And a couple of days after we got it, we haven't played it yet, but a couple of days after we got it, one of our kids was like, "Oh, you can play as Appa? I'm in."
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was all of the board games that we got, across people.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're board game reviewers, and Christmas comes 3 weeks after PAX Unplugged, so
Yeah.
so there's already a
There's
lot
not
of
usually-
board
yeah,
games in our
right.
house that
Yep. No, you're right.
that are new.
Mhm. Yep. There were some video game gifts as well.
There were some video games. There were some excellent video game gifts, I think.
Well, thanks, because I picked them all out.
Shh. Except for your Legend of Zelda Christmas stocking.
Okay, sure. That wasn't a video game, but it was a video game themed gift, which was great. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. You are going to hear a snap review, and when we come back, we're going to talk about our best games of 2024.
We'll be right back.
Hey, Nisha, I have a question for you. Do you agree with the premise that food makes everything better?
I guess so.
Well, I hope so, because this week we're going to take a look at a game that was well regarded 20 years ago, and now food is in the mix.
This is a snap review for Tasso Banana. Tasso Banana is kind of like Andrew said, a remake of the game Tasso from 20 years ago. This version has been brought to the US by 25th Century Games. 2 to 6 players can play this little dexterity game in just 10 to 15 minutes.
So, Nisha, let's talk about the art in Tasso Banana. Well, unsurprisingly, bananas are the main feature. There are 36 wooden bananas and 3 cardboard banana leaves.
A really cool feature is that the box is held together with magnets. You unfold it and it becomes the jungle-themed game board, along with an area over here with all the instructions you need for the game.
So let's talk about the mechanics. Unfold the box and split the bananas equally between the players. Put one or more of the leaves on the board as obstacles.
Who goes first?
Uh,
Maybe whoever last ate a banana?
probably going to be me.
On your turn, place a banana somewhere on the board. If it touches the board, it cannot touch any other banana. But it can hang over the side of the board as long as it doesn't touch the table or go past this dotted line.
If you stack your banana on another banana, it must touch exactly 2 bananas that are not supporting any other bananas.
But if you do that and successfully stack your banana on exactly 2 other bananas, you may take another turn and place another one of your bananas.
If your banana placement is unsuccessful, pick up any bananas that are now illegally placed. Then take a banana from the player on your right and try again, resuming your turn.
The goal of the game is to get rid of all your bananas. The player who does this first wins the game. So, Andrew, what did we expect from Tasso Banana?
I don't know. It's a banana stacking game. I expected to come up with some clever Donkey Kong puns, but so far I've come up with Diddy.
I admit, I was not looking forward to this game. I'm a little burned out on these stacking dexterity games, and I didn't see how this one could possibly have a hook to draw me in.
So, did anything surprise you about it?
Yes, it's really fun! Since it's so simple to pick up and start playing, it was easy to convince me to start. And our family can get really mean in a fun way, trying to block each other from having good places to put the bananas. It's also incredibly compact. We brought Tasso Banana to a restaurant, and our whole family could play while we were waiting for our food without disturbing the other diners.
Yeah, and frankly, this is where this game shined for me. It does fit on a restaurant table, and it's a dexterity game without flicking things around, and I don't have to think too hard to play. I just have to be kind of careful on my turn. The board being the playing field, you use all of the pieces just about to play it. You don't have to figure out where to put extra stuff when you're playing this game. It just fits in that space for me, and being able to play our entire family without taking up more space or really taking any longer or anything extra is just great. I love it.
Given how small the footprint is for this game, it's also surprising that it doesn't feel undersized either. The banana pieces are large enough they're not going to slip out of your fingers, and there's plenty of room on the board, at least when you get started.
So, do we recommend Tasso Banana?
We recommend Tasso Banana for exactly this purpose. It's a small enough game that you could just throw it in the car, or maybe keep it in the car, to take with you when you're going to a restaurant or going somewhere where you're going to have some downtime and a flat surface.
I don't think it's a great travel game for the car or anything since it is dexterity stacking, but it's kind of hard to be any more space efficient than this one is. You can vary the difficulty in this game with how many banana leaves you use, and it goes quickly enough that it doesn't really feel punishing if you're left holding all of the fruit at the end.
We give Tasso Banana 3.5 banana peels out of 5.
And that's Tasso Banana
In a snap.
And we're back.
It's goatee time.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Our top 10-ish games of 2024.
Yeah, so we're going to do this a little bit like we did last year. Actually, exactly like we did it last year, where we're going to nominate a bunch of stuff. I have some games on my side. You have some games on your side.
Yep.
We each gave each other 10 points.
Yep.
And we could pick one game and give that one game 10 points. Or we could pick a collection of games and give them a smattering of points. And we're going to take your list and your points and my list and my points and smash them together. And the top 10 games on that, based on the point allocations, I guess, are going to be our top 10 games of the year.
Probably.
So if we both pick the same game, that means we're both contributing points to it, which means it's going to do well.
Right, exactly. I think you're going to be at least mildly surprised by one or two things on my list.
Okay, sure. So, the fun thing about this is that we can pick how many games we want to nominate.
Yes.
And how much we want to put our thumb on the scale. Like, that's what makes this point allocation thing kind of different and interesting. Instead of just saying, these are my top 5 games, and these are Anetra's top 5 games. Like, I can say I like this one that much more because I've given it more of my 10 points. So, I actually have 8 games on my list.
And I have 7.
Okay. So, the other thing we should say about this is that these are not necessarily games that came out in 2024.
Yeah, they were games that were new to us in 2024 for the most part. There is one game on my list that we definitely played before 2023 ended, but we first played it in December, and I think we explicitly chose not to include it last year, so we are including it this year.
Yeah, and I have on my list, let's see, so I'm just going to say this much. On my list, I have 3 games that came out in 2024, 4 games that came out in 2023, and 1 game that technically came out in 2000.
Okay.
But it was like republished in the States. It was a whole thing. So
Sure.
These are all games that had their presence known, I would say, in the United States in 2024. It's
Significantly
not
in
like
2024.
we were like, hey, I played Agricola for the first time in 24, so it's on my list. It's not like that. It's like if a game came out at the end of 23, it's on the 24 list kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is we'll nominate a game and talk about that game, starting from our lowest point assigned to our highest point assigned.
Okay.
All right. Before we get into this, I need to mea culpa this. I had a game on my list twice. I just took it off once, so I only have 7 games.
I also have 7 games, so
right.
great.
This actually works out better then. Okay. All right. So the first game on my list is a game that you probably have on your list as well. And this is the game Hamster Roll.
I do. I think Hamster Roll might end up being the number one in our top 10 because
wow.
I gave it 3 points.
Holy smokies. That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
All right, so Hamster Roll is going to come out of this thing with 4 points, which is pretty significant. Hamster Roll, very simple game. We reviewed this game. We love this game. It is a lot of fun. It's a great family game.
Yes.
Fantastic table presence.
So a big part of what went into my top games of the year is not just do I enjoy playing this, but like, do I enjoy teaching this? Do I like bringing this to other people and watching them go, oh, that's really cool, or that's really fun? And I think that would be true of all 7 games on my list. There is one I have not tried showing to other people, so I'm not sure, but the other 6,
Sure.
100%. And Hamster Roll fits that in every possible way. I love playing it. It doesn't matter how many people I'm playing with it, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter if we're doing it in front of a big crowd. It is always fun.
Yeah, it's a great spectator game too, right?
Yeah.
Because you'll see things and everyone's like, oh,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, yeah, fantastic game.
All right, so you said you wanted to start with lowest ranked, but that was my highest ranked.
Well, I mean, that happens.
So
that happens.
mine are not exactly ranked at the bottom, but the last one that made the cut, I'll say, is Ultimatch.
Okay, I do not have Ultimatch on my list.
I think Ultimatch is great. It's not super exciting as games go. Like, it feels like a pyramid solitaire with a couple of twists to it, but I always have fun with it, whether I'm playing it solo, 2 people, 3 people, etc. It's an excellent cooperative game, and it's a cooperative game where your cooperation really matters, but also your individual decisions really matter. And that's unusual to see, especially in a game that's basically just cards.
Right. I agree with you. I do think it's a fantastic game. I mean, I don't want it to sound like I don't like the game because it didn't make my top 7 games
No,
of
it's
the year.
fine. It's
kind of thing,
fine.
Right. So
Yeah.
if it was a true top 10, it might have made the list. Right.
Right.
That's where
Right.
it's at. It's a great game, super fun, and really easy to understand, which I appreciate about it. The whole Alta hand thing is a little weird, but it's, it's explainable when you
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, you just gave a game that was not on my list. I'm going to give a game that I am almost certain is not on your list. I'm 100% certain that Cosmoctopus is not on your list.
No, Cosmoctopus is definitely not on my list, but I was pretty sure it would be on yours.
Yeah, I just really like this game. Cosmoctopus is a great game published by Lucky Duck, designed by Henry Audubon. It's kind of this tableau building, engine builder game where you're trying to summon the Great Inky One. It's just a lot of fun. It's one of these games with lots of different ways to win. I think we broke some of the combos when we played it. I would imagine there's some errata for this game that cleans up some of the assumptions that we made. I haven't really checked for it, but I don't think that would take away any of the fun. I find the card humor to be pretty funny. I'm not really offended by the pseudo fake big Inky One in the sky religion thing. I understand it makes some people uncomfortable, and that's, I respect that. It just doesn't really bother me. I like the kind of the art motif that they're going for with the game. I just have a lot of fun with it. I just think it's a well-crafted game.
And I get that. I am one of those people who it made me a little bit uncomfortable, and then I just didn't gel with the game either. Like, I was willing to push past my discomfort and play, but I just didn't like it. And that's okay. Different games work for different people.
Absolutely.
Working my way up my list, I'm sure you have the next one that I have, because that's Compile.
I do have Compile. I gave Compile 2 points.
Ooh, really?
I did.
Okay, so that one will get a total of 3 points. I only gave Compile 1 point because as much as we really enjoy it, it's not an easy game to learn. And you want to talk about errata. There are some rules in there where we eventually just had to kind of be like, well, it must work this way. And once we did that, we had a great time with the game. But I never do this. I would say you should watch the Family Gamers review to learn how to play the game before you try reading the rules of how to play the game.
Yeah, I understand that. I can respect that as kind of a position. It's less of a family game, and I almost would say the same thing about Cosmoctopus.
Yeah. Yeah.
so much of a family game. It's just a game that I really enjoyed playing. We obviously skew on the lighter side, so there's heavier stuff that a lot of other people have said this year that was fantastic or whatever.
Sure.
Cosmoctopus is about as heavy as we go.
Yeah.
So, or Compile also about as heavy as we go.
Yeah. So yeah, really enjoy Compile, but you definitely need a certain mindset to get into it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the next on my list, this is another one-pointer for me, is a game that the whole world says they like. That is Captain Flip.
That is on my list as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because I love teaching this game. I love seeing people's faces light up when they realize, like, ooh, I pull this tile and I can use it here, but I can risk flipping it.
It's fun
every
to
single
watch
time.
the gears turn
Yeah.
in people's heads.
And go,
Really fun.
swabby. Ah!
Did you give this one 1 point?
I gave this one 1 point.
Okay.
So working my way up my list, I'm pretty sure this one did not make your list. I included Tir na Nog.
Tir na Nog did not make my list. I do like this game.
Tir na Nog is a great game, and I really I want to play more of it. It was way more approachable than I thought it was going to be when we started playing.
Okay, sure. I think the whole split, would you call it draft? I don't know what you would call it. The whole split thing where you put your wanderers or your explorers in between two cards and it gives you an option of the two. I think it's a really clever mechanic.
It's really neat. And I like that there's a little bit of catch up or consolation prize for if you were between two cards and those two cards are both gone now. You're not out of luck.
Right. Sure. Yeah, Tir na Nog is a great game.
Yeah, and really interesting with the draft and the tableau building. I like it. Do you have any 1 point games left?
I have one more 1 point game.
So do I.
This is a game that came out in 2023, and this is the game Smug Owls.
Okay, I could have sworn this made our list last year.
It might have, but
It did.
We played it a lot this past year, and we brought it to a lot of group events.
That's true.
And that all happened in 2024. I think the game is super, super clever. I think it made our list last year as a very new edition.
It was still very new to us, but yeah, it made our top 10 games of 2023, which is why I did not include it in my list this year. So that's fair.
I included it on my list.
All right.
So there.
Well, I have one more 1 point game for me, which is Flashback Lucy.
Okay.
This was a really cool story gaming experience. And I say that knowing that we didn't love Flashback Zombie Kids.
Yeah, so here's the thing about Flashback Lucy. So the reason why I was so willing to give Flashback Lucy a shot after our experience with Flashback Zombie Kids was because when we met with T at PAX Unplugged 2023,
yes,
and we got the preview of Flashback Lucy, T had said basically, this is the game they wanted to make, but they had to make Flashback Zombie Kids to get there.
Yeah.
And knowing that it was kind of the full embodiment or the full realization of what they really wanted to do made me say, okay, I'll give this a shot.
Yeah.
And then I agree with you. It was way more of an immersive narrative adventure than the kind of weird half game that Flashback Zombie Kids was.
Yeah. As we mentioned when we reviewed it, this gets a little bit darker than Flashback Zombie Kids. Like, there are people who die in Flashback Lucy. But if you are okay with that for your family, highly, highly recommend this as a interactive, immersive story experience that you can do over up to 4 sessions.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like an interactive graphic novel.
Yeah.
That's the best way to think
I think that's a good way to think about it. And there are some secrets in there that you will feel very accomplished or clever when you find them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. That means that I have 2 games left on my list.
And I only have 1 left on mine because you stole a couple of mine. So that's fine.
Okay. Well, I technically have 3, but you already grabbed Compile, so I only have 2.
Sure.
Okay, so the next one on my list is a 2-pointer.
Okay.
And this is Santa's Workshop 2nd Edition.
Oh, excellent choice. I thought about adding this one, but I did not.
So this is another game that came out in 2023. This is a game that is in this bizarro, like, weird liminal space right now.
Yeah.
So we don't really know what's going on with Elf Creek. They're trying to sort things out. So Santa's Workshop 2nd edition is not available at the moment. Hopefully it will get picked up by someone somewhere, because this is one of the best family weight worker placement games that I have played in the last 5 years.
So well done. So well done. I really liked it too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you can play it with your 8-year-old on the easy side.
Yeah.
And then come 10 or 11 years old, you can upgrade to the more complex side. And it's a full-fledged, full-on worker placement game with character upgrades and everything. It's just very, very well done.
Well, but I will say, the easy side is there's still plenty there. So if you're just not feeling up for a more intense worker placement, meaty worker placement, you can just play it on the easier side and it'll still be a fulfilling, fun time. It's not going to feel like a lesser game.
Right. So that's Santa's Workshop 2nd edition from Elf Creek Games. Great game.
Well, so the last one I have is a 2-pointer for me, and that's Trio.
I also have 2-pointer Trio. So
all right.
That is the last one that I have as well.
I mean, I feel like we've talked about this a bunch, not just this year, but literally in this podcast. It was your most played game of the year. It was my most played game of the year. We have showed this game to so many people. We have had so much fun with it.
Yeah, we really have. I was showing this game to the same people that I showed Calico to last week, and I looked at them and I said, look, if you want me to leave this here, you can just have it, and I will order a new copy. I almost felt bad saying that because I was looking at the cards, and they are so worn out. I think we're going to have to order a new copy of this game sometime soon anyway.
Yeah.
But that's just a testament to how excellent this game is. I've personally sold so many copies of this game just in doing demos to friends that it's just fantastic.
It has been a really long time since there has been any board game, never mind a card game, that we play this much with so many different groups of people and are constantly telling people oh, let me show you this game. I honestly think the last time we had a game that we felt this excited about consistently was way back in the day before we were doing this podcast, when we first really got into Anomia.
You don't think it was Drop It? I feel like we had this kind of experience with Drop It.
I think we did probably have this experience with Drop It, but Drop It is a lot harder to just whip out of your pocket and be like, let me show you.
Sure.
We had fewer opportunities with Drop It.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is still a game that is not for everyone. It requires a certain amount of memory and attention that not everyone is going to be ready to give.
But there's also enough luck in this game that you could just play it anyway.
Yes. I think I've mentioned on the show before that one time I sat down to play this with people and I explained it to them, and someone literally won on their first turn by managing to find the 3 7s.
That's crazy.
It was so crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. And somehow, even though I had 7 games and you had 7 games, we ended up with a top 10.
All right. See, that's how this thing works, ladies and gentlemen. This is how professionals do. So,
I mean, I don't know if this is what professionals do, but this is what we do.
all right. So, I guess, Anitra, that means it is time to run through the games. We have, 5 games that we gave 1s to as a collective kind of group.
Yes.
And then, a couple of 2s, a 3, and a couple of 4s, something like that?
Yep, exactly.
All right. So, what do we got in the 1 category?
So, our bottom 5 are Ultimatch, Cosmoctopus, Tir-na-nog, Smug Owls, and Flashback Lucy.
All excellent games.
Yeah.
All excellent games.
And then our number 5 would be Santa's Workshop 2nd edition.
Mm-hmm.
Our number 4 would be Captain Flip.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3 is Compile.
Okay. I'm on board with this so far.
Okay. And then our top 2 games, number 2 is Hamster Roll.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1 is Trio.
I mean, I think if people were listening to this, even if they knew that we gave 4s to both Hamster Roll and Trio, they had an idea that we probably preferred Trio over Hamster Roll, even though they're both tremendous games.
They are both tremendous games. I would say Trio edges out Hamster Roll in 2 ways. One, it's smaller and easier to transport. 2, it goes up to 6 people. But it only goes down to 3. So if you've got 2 people, play Hamster Roll.
I mean, I really think you can't go wrong with either one of these games.
Yeah, they're both just really amazing games.
But we are saying that our 2024 Family Gamers Game of the Year is Trio from Happy Camper Games.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations to Jason and the Happy Camper team. I'll send him an email. I'm sure he'll be very excited the way he is.
Yes. I have a question for you.
Sure.
Do you have any honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut?
I do have one.
I also have one.
Oh, yeah? I wanted to pick something that would surprise you.
Okay.
But, I mean, I do feel like it's kind of, an honorable mention that didn't quite make the cut. Do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
Why don't you go first?
Okay. My honorable mention is Harmonies.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really like that game.
Because I don't know about you, but I only played it once.
It was really good.
It was
and
really
I wanted
good.
to play it more.
I actually am now in a game of it on Board Game Arena.
It's really good.
It's really good. I'm not sure how I feel about it on Board Game Arena yet. It was a little while since we've played, so I was like, oh, how does this work again? What do I... Oh, boy. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm already doing poorly in this game, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless.
And I can so clearly see the evolution from Calico to Cascadia to Harmonies.
Sure.
But, so, yeah, I really like it.
That does surprise me. My honorable mention will probably not be quite so surprising. My honorable mention is Circus Fliccati,
Oh, sure. We played a lot of that game.
which
over the last
has
month and
also
a half.
gotten played a lot.
Yep.
Circus Fliccati is the reason why my H index for the year was 10.
Because you played it 1,000 times.
No, I didn't actually. I had played it 9 times, and it is one of the games I played on New Year's Eve, which brought it to 10.
This one over here.
That's not why I brought it. I brought it because it's a great game. It has no setup, and you can play with, anywhere from 2 to 6 players. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's my honorable mention. I think it's a great game.
I mean, I agree with you. It is a great game. So, anyway, there you go. That is our top 10 plus 2 games of 2024. This leads right into our back talk question, which is super simple and super straightforward. What is your favorite game from last year? You can follow the same kind of model we did. You can be even looser. If it was the first time you played a game, it is a game for you from last year. I
Yes.
don't even care.
What was your favorite game of 2024?
Yeah. Just like we read at the top of the show, there's 2 primary ways that you can give us your answers. One of them is in the Family Gamers community on Facebook. You can get there by just going to Facebook, searching for the Family Gamers community, or going to thefamilygamers.com/community. And the other way is to go to the Family Tabletop community on Discord.
We have a whole channel set aside there for the back talk questions.
Yep. You can go to thefamilygamers.com/Discord to get your invite to the Discord server. There's lots of cool conversations going on in there. JP DeCoste shares a lot of his YouTube stuff that he's been working on too. There's some other content creators in there that are weighing in as well. Good conversations.
Yeah.
Great place to go and to chat with some people. Of course, you can find us all over social media at Family Gamers AA, on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. You can see all of our Snap reviews on there. Check them out. Subscribe. Hit the bell so you get a little notification every Friday. It's coming out on Friday, but, hit the bell anyway.
Usually Friday.
The vast majority of the time it's on Friday.
Yeah, usually Friday. If all of this sounds too high-tech for you, and you are a early 21st century person, you can also email us.
Andrew at thefamilygamers.com.
Anitra at thefamilygamers.com.
If you are not yet horrified by shipping rates in this country, you can also send us snail mail. People have done that, by the way. People, back when we had a pod pledge, we don't have a Patreon or anything like that, but we used to have a pod pledge where people could support us. Someone sent us a check and said, I really appreciate what you're doing. I don't do this newfangled internet stuff. Please take this and use it. Do you remember that?
I did not remember that.
It was
no.
adorable and awesome.
It is adorable.
And I'm not soliciting for checks right now. What I am soliciting for, however, is weird food, because we haven't had it for science in a while. So
been a little bit. Yeah.
You can send weird food to us. The only requirement is it's supposed to be food. Like, whatever you send
Yes,
us,
please.
It's got to be food.
Real food.
Yeah.
Actual food.
The Family Gamers, 60 Auburn Street, AUB-URN, number 528. Not unit, not door, not whatever. It's 60 Auburn Street, number 528. Auburn, Massachusetts, 01501.
As always, thank you for listening.
Mm-hmm.
Please subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already, or if you are a newfangled kind of person, go find the podcast on YouTube and listen to it there. You can subscribe there as well.
Mhm.
Tell your friends about this podcast if you want more people talking about family games and playing games with your kids. Reviews are good too. We will never say no to a review, but honestly, I would rather that you tell your friends about the show, and whether it's us or somebody else, tell a content creator that you like. Tell them this week that you like what they're doing. It means a ton when we hear back, and I've heard from friends as well. Like, it's so great to be reminded that we're not shouting into the void.
All right. The Family Gamers is still sponsored by First Move Financial, and we really do appreciate that sponsorship so much. Head over to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers to see what they're all about and learn how their team can help you pile up the victory points.
Well, I think that's going to be it for us this week.
I'm really just shooting for a game a day in 2025. That's my goal.
Okay.
So keep me honest, everybody. Send me messages every day in Discord being like, what you running, buddy? What's your count?
I'll try to help you with that. 5-minute games, man.
Yeah, but you don't have to send me messages on Discord.
No, I will be like, I have this game that's going to take 5 minutes. Will you play with me?
You'll sing the Do you want to play a board game?
Do you want to play a board game?
Yeah. All right, anyway, we're looking forward to an awesome 2025. We hope you are too. So until next time, everybody, play games with your kids.